Hello, I'm Michael Finley, write-in candidate for president 2016, the man who will not accept a single campaign contribution, but will accept whatever help you'd like to contribute by sharing these messages with others in whatever type of free social media you can. Some people wonder why I say that the Federal Reserve System must be ended and replaced with a constitutional money system. A lot of people think that the Federal Reserve System is part of the government. It is not. It is a private entity that controls the government and has since 1913. What a lot of people don't realize is that every single dollar created in the United States is created as debt, which is not what the Constitution says should be done. Under Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, the power to coin money and regulate the value thereof belongs to the United States Congress. Instead of doing their job, they've allowed that authority to be delegated to a private entity, which I believe is unconstitutional. I mean, can the President of the United States delegate to, let's say, Boeing the right and authority to declare war? I don't think so. I don't think people want that to happen. So here's what you need to understand. Every single dollar is created as debt. If you look at any denomination of currency, a 1, a 5, a 10, a 20, a 50, a 100, at the top of it, it says Federal Reserve Note. A note means debt. As an attorney, I know, because I've written notes before that have been binding on people, that a promissory note is evidence of debt. It's a contractual debt that is owed by the person who signs the note, not by the person the note is made out to. So a Federal Reserve note is not made out by the Federal Reserve. It is made out to the Federal Reserve. And who's it signed by? Well, the United States Secretary of the Treasury and the United States Treasurer are the ones who sign it. So they are making you and I, the people of the United States, indebted to a private entity. I'll tell you another dirty little secret. You'll see these things going around on the internet about how, this percentage of your tax dollar goes to roads, and this percentage of your tax dollar goes to the military, and this percentage goes to education, and blah, blah, blah. That's not true. 100% of your tax dollars go to paying interest on the debt owed to the Federal Reserve System. 100%. Which means that the principal is not getting paid down, and that's why our national debt continues to skyrocket. What's supposed to happen is that instead of borrowing money into existence, the Congress is supposed to create money. They're supposed to back it in an intelligent way, which used to be done through the bimetal standard, which was gold and silver, and then later the gold standard, so that there was equal value, and the United States would actually back up every dollar with equal value in gold. Franklin Delano Roosevelt did away with the gold standard domestically, and later on Richard Nixon did away with the gold standard internationally. And ever since then, the United States dollar has been propped up with petroleum. The way that works is this. We made deals with some of the big petroleum nations that they would only accept United States currency as payment for their oil. As a result, other countries continued to do business in United States currency so that they could buy oil. So we've been propping it up artificially with oil that we don't own. This is a recipe for disaster, and it needs to end. We need to get off of the Federal Reserve System. We need to get back onto the system that is described in the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 8. The country should be spending money into existence without debt. Now, you want to talk about something that's really, really insane. What if I owned some asset that you wanted to use? Let's say I had a really nice pickup truck and you want to borrow it. Okay? Now, if I give you that pickup truck temporarily to use, it's still my pickup truck, but you're using it. Do you have the right to charge me for your use of my pickup truck? Well, that's what's happening with our government. Our government has allowed the private entity, the Federal Reserve System, to use its authority to coin money and regulate the value thereof. And then we allow the Federal Reserve, in exchange for the wonderful favor we're doing for them, to charge us for their use of our pickup truck, of our authority to coin money. It's even worse than that, because every institution, every financial institution in the United States that is known as a bank is part of the Federal Reserve System. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, anything known as a bank. And let me tell you what that means. There's something called fractional reserve deposit expansion. Feel free to Google that and learn what that means. I'll tell you the basics of it. There is a certain amount of money that the banks are allowed that are required to have on reserve, and then they are allowed to loan out multiples of that money. Okay, so just as an example, let's say that the amount that they're required to have is $10 billion, and that they're allowed to loan out in multiples of 100. So now they can loan out 100 times that $10 billion, and they've only got the $10 billion in their bank. So if you subtract the $10 billion from the amount that they're loaning out, 100 times that, that's the money that those banks are allowed to create. So that when you borrow money to buy a house or a car from a bank, they created that money out of thin air. Because they are using, and I would say abusing, the authority of the United States Congress under Article 1, Section 8 to coin money and regulate the value thereof. Join me in the write-in revolution. Let's end this insanity. Let's restore a constitutional money system. The income tax will no longer be necessary. You need to remember my name, Michael Finley of Santa Clarita, California, and write that in on your ballot in 2016. We're going to make this happen.